Hello my dear friends, it's Yuri Tvetkov, and today I want to make one more video about a very interesting for me subject, the golf statistics, and I hope that for you also. And it's highly interesting to make analysis of the golf statistics exactly in the beginning of this season. I mean that currently we have these three tournaments which were played not in the last to 2020 season, but which are playing in the season 2029. Certainly it's understandable that maybe it's not any reasons to analyze the FedEx Cup standing, for example, or even the top 10 finishes, because it's not well enough statistics currently to make any, to make any opinions about the such golf statistics. But it's quite interesting to see something quite new. For example, such one with the driving distance. I mean that here we can find a very interesting surprises which will we can give some ideas for us. For example, currently the best average driving distance leader in this component is Ryan Fox. And in many cases, it's reasonable to expect that he will be among one of the longest hitters, but it's quite interesting to take a look for his more complicated statistics about the different components of the game. Let's say that he's the first in driving distance, but in driving accuracy percentage, he has just 21% of the driving accuracy, and it's amazingly, exotical figures for such level of the golfers. He's more than 10 years in the PGA Tour, as he turned to be professional at least. So it's also very interesting to see for the greens and regulation. It's less than 40%. It is something which is more close to results of the golfers who are playing singles. Maybe more singles than scratch. Certainly, it's understandable that it's mostly relative with the US Open results, in which the tournaments which were highly difficult for most of the players, and they have shown not so good results, very far from their averages during the previous season. But we can also see that of the tee strokes gained of the tee, he was not so bad. He was just average. Meanwhile, that's such a huge distance, but the driving accuracy was very bad, very poor in this connection. That he couldn't rise any stroke of the tee thanks to his driving distance, because accuracy was not very good. And in the case of the approaches to the green, it's incredible. He have lost 2.5 strokes exactly from approaching to the green. In many cases, it's relative that he was need to play 80% of the all the strokes from the rough, which was very difficult on the US Open, and from the other conditions. So it was reasonable to expect that it will influence for his approach into the green very poorly, but it was not unexpected that so highly poorly. So around the green he is not so bad. Again, he is very close to the average results, and he couldn't rise any strokes, gained any strokes from this component of the game, but he have not lost anything. But in putting again, we can find that it's a huge statistics, minus 2.9. It's amazingly big losses in the putting. So it's a first surprise in the golf statistics of the starting season. Plus that, we can also find some interesting figures from the results of the second in the driving distance, second player in the driving distance. It's Davis Riley. So his results are looks a little bit better than the leader of the driving distance. But unfortunately, we couldn't find, that his his full statistics, but we can see that he was coming from the Corn Ferry Tour season, tour, and we can see that he's not so bad in the driving accuracy, and he's very good in the greens and regulation. But he's coming from the, from the tour where much more younger players are playing mostly, and we can see that with his driving distance, 318 yards approximately, he was just on the 23 position in this tour last season. And we will find, if we will try to analyze the longest hitters in this tour, we will find that the players in this tour are hitting, young players are hitting ball maybe even longer than in the Mayor PGA Tour. So in this connection, it seems that more and more people who will, more players who will go from the this tour to the PGA Tour, they will become. But they will come with very good positions in the long hitting, also in the driving distance. This is also surprise in many cases that, just a second, that last year leader in the driving distance, as we know, it was the Bryson DeChambeau. And he have told that he is working very hard on the even more increasing of his driving distance. But we can see that currently he is only on the 18th position in the tour by this component. And this is also giving us some reasons to think that his very huge performance in the US Open, mostly the relative performance, maybe not the not his results exactly, but relative to the other golfers, we can see that each result was not so highly depends from the of the tee shots. So yes, he was on the fourth position. He's currently on the fourth position of the tee with 1 point for strokes gained of the tee with 1.33 strokes. But we can see that he's very strong. He was very strong in the components which were not his, the strongest part of his game. It's approaches to the green, which is not so highly dependent from the power. The power he have talked about, and exactly in the game around the green, which is not dependent from the power at all. The putting is his strong component, and was his strong component last year, because last year for the average for the season, he have 0.66 strokes gained from the putting. Currently, he was very close to his results, maybe twice better, but it's not so huge difference. But he was exactly perfect in the approaches to the green and the game around the green. What we had not... It is not his average figures. So it is highly interesting that from some cases many people have started to think that performance on the US Open, his performance will depended from the tee shots and from his distance. But in the fact, if we will try to look much more harder for his statistics and for his figures, we are finding that it's not exactly true. Because totally he gained tee to green 4.46 strokes, and just 1.33 were gained from the putting. So, and this connection, it's again talking us that the best rounds for any golfers are those rounds when he have very complicated and very high level in the mostly in all components of his game. So those are some ideas, some surprises, just from brief looking for the golf statistics of the beginning season. And I think that it's becoming more reasonable to study these golf statistics exactly in the beginning of the season, because you see that we can find much more very interesting subjects which are related with the statistics of the best rounds, because the current leaders certainly have took part just in these 3 tournaments, and in this connection, we are mostly analyzing not the average figures of these golfers, but we are analyzing mostly their average figures for their best rounds. So it's highly interesting in my opinion. Thank you very much, dear friends. I hope to see you on my channel. I hope to find your recommendation for your recommendations and maybe your useful links in the direction of the golf statistics in the comments to this video, because I will be mostly interested in the new sources of the information and in your opinion than in the any other kinds of comments, just in the figures on engagement. I'm not looking to be the influencer in the golf industry. For me, it's just much more interesting to be in the horizontal level with all of you and to discuss different important problems and different important subjects. That in very friendly and a comfortable manner, and very useful certainly, because when people are talking about something without the authority, they are achieving much more better results than when they are managed by the minds of any highest level specialist or the experts or the prognostists. Thank you very much. Have a good game. Have a good golf all over the golf, and hope to see you on my channel again. Bye.